when people increase their knowledge about sustainability and translate it into their own competence and role. Because that's where the real creativity gets sparked. That's where the results are created. And there's so many competent and smart people out there. So if we're able to give them the context and the new way of thinking in terms of integrating sustainability principles in their daily work, it's amazing what results that are created.
This podcast is a product of DRIV, where we unlock sustainable businesses. Produced by Amplitude Ventures, your partners in early stage venture building.
Hi, and welcome to Business as Unusual. I'm Sara Fossum, the founder of DRIV, and for the past decade, I've been working and learning in sustainable business, trying to understand what it really is and what it could look like. Along the way, I've had so many honest conversations with people across industries. We've been talking about both the challenges and the opportunities of doing business differently. And I believe that too often sustainability is seen as compliance and something that you have to do. But when it is approached in the right way, it can actually reduce risks, drive efficiency, and open up new and better ways of creating value, not only socially and environmentally, but also economically. And that is what this podcast is about, rethinking business for the long run. We will hear from people with different perspectives who are navigating this shift and making change happen. And today, I'm happy to have Kristin Hidle Vinje joining us. Kristin and I have been bonding over the importance of having a strategic approach to sustainability, and that is exactly what she is working with. And I am super excited to dive into this topic. But first, welcome, Kristin.
Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining. I've been so excited about this conversation and to dive deeper into your experience and everything that you have been working with. And I think you have a very interesting background and your journey into sustainability because you spent over 2 decades working within the oil and gas industry and within leadership roles. But then you did a pivot and you went on to co-found Climate Advisor, which have become DRIV,
Yeah.
which is very exciting. And I'm very curious to hear about your transition and your journey into this field and into DRIV.
Thank you. Well, it's a great pleasure to participate in your podcast. I've been quite both excited, but also a bit nervous. I've never done a podcast before, and it's a really big question you're asking me. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through my CV that's available elsewhere. But when you say 2 decades, it makes me sound grown up. Can we say that? I'm not going to use the word old, but yeah, I had a fantastic career in the oil and gas or energy and this industry. I have to say that first of all, it's a very professional, competent, and innovative and highly compliant industry. And to have your career develop in that industry, you learn quite a lot. I'm just going to talk about the key lessons that I took from those years and how I've implemented that in what I do today. I think that one of the biggest things I learned is that if you're going to get anything approved and going to do anything, you have to have a solid business case.
Definitely.
To get approval, to get things done. And that really gave me a strong business understanding because everything you do needs to create value. You have to be able to explain why you're doing what you're doing and how you're going to do it and what's the expected results of what you are delivering. And I want to give you an example of that. And this example actually was the starting point of why I now run and work in DRIV. A few years back, we had a drilling campaign close to a really sensitive area up north of Norway. And we saw quite early that from a reputation perspective, this was clearly going to be a challenge. But from a technical point of view, the engineers wanted, of course, to drill the most effective well. And they knew that there's a lot of regulations in the oil and gas industry. So they knew they were compliant in terms of the regulations. But inside the project team, we had really interesting discussions. Is it enough to be just compliant, or should we actually take additional measures that went beyond being compliant? And actually, in the end, the decision was to use more environmental friendly approach in several areas, even though it required more effort. And when Greenpeace, like we expected, together with the media, showed interest in this campaign, we actually had a much stronger business case, a stronger story to tell, and could show that we went beyond what is regulated and to be compliant. And that really strengthened our reputation.
Yeah.
And as I said, that sparked an interest in me, realizing that you can do more than what you have to. And for me, this is a great example of the triple bottom line, and that you need to make overall decisions that might be conflicting interests. But when you have the perspective of both the business, the people, and the environment, then it really can make a difference. It's a win-win. In addition, what I've learned is that everything is a process. You've talked about previously in the podcast, a lot of us working within the sustainability area talks a lot about this, because like last podcast about regenerative business models, we don't have all the answers now.
Yeah.
It's a process. So we know things have to change, and we know some of the stepping stones, but we don't have all the answers as of now.
Yeah.
And I think that sustainability now has a reputation problem coming from communication. It's easy to use that. It's often presented as too complex or too expensive and almost impossible to do, or unrealistic, or not economically viable.
Yeah.
But from my experience in the energy sector, I know that nothing is impossible. It is a process, right? So if you look at how the industry developed over the past 5 decades, through constant innovation and new technology, new regulations, new processes, it's actually quite impressive. And I believe that we need the same approach with sustainability. It's like eating an elephant or climbing Mount Everest, or whatever metaphor you want to use. You need to take it one step or one bite at a time. And of course, regulations may help to speed things up, but we need more than that. It's not enough. We need new markets, new technology, new innovation, new solutions, and new knowledge, just like the energy sector has built over decade after decade. And I think, that's the most important learnings I've made. So it's business case and process that I bring with me today.
Yeah. That is, I totally agree, and it's very aligned with my experience and my view on what really is sustainability about, and how do you go about addressing it and working with it. And what you're saying with like understanding the business case and understanding what it really means, because often when you do the kind of compliance approach to sustainability, is a lot of checking boxes, a lot of reporting data. I see a lot of companies at, one time of the year, they do like this, okay, we're gathering the data and we report it. And then it's like,
Yeah.
but they don't necessarily use the data. But if they did, and referring back to the podcast with Terravera, which you also work with Terravera and partner with them.
Yes. Great
Just-
collaboration.
Yes. And seeing like the value of using the data, getting good data, first of all, but also using it, and then suddenly unfolding new opportunities that you didn't even know existed just by having a different approach to sustainability or to kind of just strategy in general. And also seeing the importance of culture and motivation and upskilling and understanding, because it's really the people in the organization that are going to drive the change, and it needs to be something that comes from within. And that is something that I believe you have a lot of experience with in your work.
Yeah, I have. And I think that realizing that sustainability actually, you took a lot of my pointers, but I'll try not to repeat you. But I think realizing that sustainability can be in business added value. It's not something that the reporting people, it's either people working in terms of sustainability or within finance, should just chase after the numbers once a year or once a quarter or whatever they do, but actually use that data to create insight and understand what you actually can do. And I personally truly believe uh, that we need to make more sustainable choices as a society, as companies and individuals. And that is basically my drive. I'm really engaged in that because even if I've learned a lot in the energy industry, I recognized that I needed more competence. So I went back to school after finishing my career there to expand my knowledge of sustainability and use it. And I want to use it to motivate companies and organizations to start working their potential, because
Mhm.
there is so much potential out there.
Mm.
And in that process, I realized that I wanted to start my own company together with my partner, Hanne Torbjørnsen. So we created Climate Advisor. So Climate Advisor is now 2.5 years old. And as you said, we just changed our name to DRIV because we realized that the name was misleading in terms of how we actually work.
Okay.
It's not climate as in just the environment, it's climate for change. But it
Yeah.
was hard for others to realize what we wanted to communicate.
Wow.
But our main goal is to create DRIV. And DRIV som varer is our slogan, but drive that lasts.
Mm.
So whether it's we're working with you for a short time or a long time, we want you to see the why, how, and how you can create results and
Mm.
start you on a journey to actually make it happen, basically.
But I think it's very interesting to just kind of explore your experience and what you've learned from your career and the journey that you've been on. And also an interesting point that I thought about was just how you had this long career behind you with a lot of experience, and you understand business, you understand how it works, and then you go into understanding sustainability from a different perspective and to a deeper level, and then being able to apply that to your business understanding. I think that is also so important because I think this is something that is evolving, but um, for me, like I went straight into sustainability studies, and even though it was within business sustainability, it's very like you look at it from a certain angle. And then when I got work experience myself, I saw that we need to speak the same language. If not, it's not going to work at all. Do you have any comments on how that was to have this experience, to have a lot of understanding of how does business work and how can I use all of this knowledge about sustainability and apply it to how what I already know? And yeah.
Yeah, I think it. I read that that's what I realized, that you can apply it, like I gave you the example.
Mm.
But I also see the challenge from the sustainability community perspective, where this is it's for in some instances difficult to translate into today's value.
Mm.
It's easy to talk a lot about the long term, the changes that are, even with the Paris Agreement. It's 25 years from now. It's difficult to translate into today's what can we do? And then there's trial and errors in terms of what works and what works not. New knowledge is coming in, new industries try to pop up, doesn't work. It's challenging to translate it into and saying this is I don't know the English phrase for it, to streker under svaret. This is the answer. This is the results you will create, because it is a process and it is a journey. But I think that a benefit for my sake is that since I understand business and I've learned a bit of the business case and I know what a process is all about, it's easier to talk the right language. I think it's all about, a lot of it is about communication.
Yeah.
How do you talk around it? I think for most business leaders, if you come in and just talk about regenerative business models, it's hard to translate into what does it mean for me? How can I use this? But maybe if you've gone through a process where you've actually strategically decided and see the value of how you can become more sustainable, then start talking about regenerative business model might be interesting and even an opportunity. So, yeah.
Definitely. And I think that's a good lead on to the next topic in question. So we've talked a bit about the challenge around approaching sustainability only as compliance, and also like the opportunity that arises when you're able to address sustainability as a strategic opportunity. And what is your advice or your experience in terms of approaching sustainability in the right way, like from a more strategic point of view? Do you have any interesting case examples?
The first step is that you just need to accept that sustainability is here to stay, and you need to figure out how you can utilize it for your advantage.
Yeah.
I think it's that easy to really understand why, how, and what for your results that it can create for you. Because when you see the business perspective of it, if you have that angle into the discussions and the focus, then I'm sure I can promise you it will create value. There's no shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
And I actually have a concrete example in terms of this. In a previous podcast, like you mentioned, Elizabeth from DRIV Foundation talked about Hour of Collaboration, and we had a really, really fantastic project and journey together with them.
Yeah.
We ran the project together, and DRIV Foundation's role was to map out the company's main product entire value chain and identify actual emissions, which is quite fantastic because most companies, even if they've done an LCA or have the emissions in terms of production, it's either spend-based or benchmarked numbers. But Terravera as a used research to actually give you verified numbers on your emissions. And they also explored hypothesis in terms of potential reduction. Where is your biggest impact and what is realistic? So our role in this was to facilitate the process between the company and Terravera. We increased the competence across the project team and supported them in understanding how you could use the results. Because it's one thing, like you said, it's one thing to get the data, but how can you actually use the data? And then identify measures and implementing change that would create business added value. We could actually argue for the business case for why it's sensible to make the changes they did. And I have to say that the results were quite impressive. It was, they identified a lot of waste in their value chain that they were not aware of. So we reduced almost 60% waste in the production line. We improved efficiency. We helped them develop a new supplier strategy. We reduced production cost with 27%.
Yeah.
And we had a reduction of 26% in terms of emissions in production.
Yeah.
And the fascinating thing is that the product they deliver to the customer is exactly the same,
Yeah.
but just produced in a smarter and more sustainable way.
Yeah.
And what I love about this case isn't that it only shows what happens when people increase their knowledge about sustainability and translate it into their own competence and role, because that's where the real creativity
Mm.
gets sparked. That's where the results are created. And there's so many competent and smart people out there. So if we're able to give them the context and the new way of thinking in terms of integrating sustainability principles in their daily work, it's
Yeah.
amazing what results that
Yeah.
are created.
I think it's so important to talk about these cases to show that, like you say, when you get good data and you get good overview and you increase your insight and understanding, that it's not only about becoming more sustainable environmentally or socially, but also economically, because it's really about what you say, making smarter choices, identifying opportunities to both becoming more efficient, but also maybe identify new ways of delivering more value or increasing the value that you already deliver in many aspects.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's a really this example is a really strong one, and of course that's the tangible results, like I said. But in addition, of course, in terms of reputation, what they can communicate to the market, what they communicate to their bank. Do you have a strategy in place? Do you have a plan? And what actions are you actually doing, and what results are they creating?
Yeah.
And I think that will become even a stronger demand going forward.
Yeah.
So, but for me, you asked me about my perspective, but I think that um, we need to move beyond the idea of simply um, inserting sustainability thinking into businesses. Instead, we need to apply business thinking to sustainability.
Yeah.
And that's when you will, because I think most companies that work on sustainability will see some results. But if you, in addition, strengthen the strategic and the business side of the initiatives you do, it will definitely become a competitive advantage.
Yeah.
From my perspective, it's just smart business.
Yeah.
And it's one thing that the successful businesses over the past 5 decades have achieved is to adapt and look at new solutions, develop new technologies. And I think that sustainability should be treated or focused on in the same manner, you
Yeah.
know?
100% agree. You worked a lot with strategy, like identifying the strategic opportunities and, improving or further developing business strategies to integrate sustainability. But then
Yeah.
a strategy, you have an understanding of what you should do, but then the next step is implementation.
Yeah.
That's a topic in itself. And we discussed that a bit, like, even if you on a high level understand the opportunities and what you should do, to actually be able to implement it throughout the organization and create action, impact, and momentum, that is a different challenge. I know that you've run a lot of integration programs, like culture programs, because these are also elemental parts of implementation and transitioning and transformation. What is the key to not only having a strategy that looks good on paper, but actually implementing it and creating real change in the organization?
Well, first of all, this is my favorite topic to talk about. I'm really engaged in this, and I see so much opportunity. Uh, and the truth is, this is not only about just a challenge in terms of sustainability and sustainability strategy. Implementation is a challenge in terms of all change,
Right.
whether it's a new strategy, new systems, new organizational structures, new initiatives, culture projects. It is challenging, especially if you don't have a plan and a process around it. Because research showed that about 70% of all new sort of change projects, like I mentioned, don't have the desired effect, you know? And I think in terms of sustainability, implementation is absolutely vital. It's crucial because that's where the change and the opportunities are created. So implementation is all about building a business case. It is. It's the why are we doing this? It's the how are we going to do it? So that's the company strategy or goal set or, and then what results are expected.
Yeah.
But you need to be really good at communicating around it. And you need to have a plan to be consistent. So from my experience, there are four, actually, not three, key ingredients for success in implementation. You need to increase knowledge, right? The why, because especially in terms of sustainability, it's a new competence for most people.
Yeah.
And employees or leaders also need to understand why sustainability matters. Of course, at the level of society, but especially in terms of the company and what they are expected to and what they can contribute with as individuals. And of course, linked to the company's strategy and goals in general. You talked about it previously, but that to activate and engage, that's the second. And this is the how, How can the company, the department, the team, or the individual contribute? And I think by engaging and activating people, they will be able to translate the strategy or the goals you set into their own role and capabilities. And the third one is, of course, learn and improve. That's where the process comes in. We don't have all the answers now.
Yeah.
But by sharing and keeping focus on continuous improvement. And I think that the energy industry is extremely good at continuous improvement. And that's why it has developed to the extent it has. And that's why it's also very compliant and have fantastic HSEQ records, etc. Because it's all about learning and improving. And you need to move words into real actions. And you need to learn from the actions. Some things work, something doesn't, but you need to activate for new actions. And of course, measures the results. We need to make yourself, the company, the employees accountable for the results, and not at least communicate the progress.
Yeah.
Because I think that communication, as you probably understand by now, is essential in all change. And I actually have a really good example of this. The project I mentioned earlier, where we created the business case and changed and had some great results. We started the implementation process also there. So we started with having breakfast and learn, actually, in the mornings, where they were served breakfast. And we started the morning in giving a competence boost on what sustainability is all about, and of course linking it to the company strategy. We ran workshops across the organization in all teams, where the goal was to identify how that team or that department could contribute and create an action plan to really get the ball rolling. And sometimes it was just low-hanging fruits, but they all agreed on doing something, and that sparks new discussions and new things you can do on a later stage. And we actually set up a cross-functional sustainability team, and I think cross-functional here is absolutely the key.
Yeah.
Of that. And we had people from we had HR, procurement, sales, engineering, designing, the workshop on the yard. So we had a lot of different cross-functions meet monthly and discuss what was happening in the organization And so they could actually have the overview, and they could measure it, and also suggest new improvements.
Mm.
And I think that the commercial results and the emission reduction and what we did, they're really impressive. But the most fascinating thing is that it sparked such motivation and engagement in the employees.
Yeah.
We've talked about it before. Sustainability can feel big and intangible, difficult to understand, difficult to translate. But when people see the opportunities and
Mm.
connect it to their role, it actually creates results.
Yeah.
And it also gives them a great sense of purpose.
Yeah.
We can actually do something.
It's such an important aspect of it as well. And I actually recognize a lot of what you're saying based on my experience as well.
Mhm.
Worked with sustainability in a large organization. I saw the exact same thing when we first um, focused on upskilling and engagement and creating ownership and understanding. It was like a
Mhm.
switch, and it went from something that I believe a lot of the different employees and departments saw as, oh, it's something we have to do. It's like they didn't see the value of it yet. And then when
Yeah.
they realized that, and it was combination of different things, from external pressure from customers or from like partners, where they saw the regulations and how that affected them in their departments, but also that they saw the opportunities. They saw other departments working with this and getting great results. And what actually happened was that it became like an overload. Like, we didn't have enough capacity to support everyone because, everyone wanted to do more work, but they were lacking tools and knowledge about it. So
Yeah.
they were a bit like, oh, we want to work with this, we need help, we want to measure, we want to do this, we want to workshop. And then it requires a lot of resources and support. And but it's really motivating to see the effect when you're able to, first of all, address sustainability from a strategic level, but also
Mhm.
understanding the importance of implementation, and then you really see the value of it.
Yeah,
Uh,
really. But I think that what you're addressing now is a challenge for people working with sustainability,
yeah,
because you can get the momentum going, but then you don't have the resources
yeah,
to follow it up in the manner that would have been preferred, basically.
yeah,
And also is challenging, maybe even to build the business case to grow the sustainability team,
yeah, exactly.
because yeah, it is.
Mm.
So then that leads me to sort of my goal with sustainability. And that is that, and this is why I think integration is so important,
Mm.
you know? So, and linked to implementation, because I think integration and implementation are very linked together.
Yeah,
Because is the goal really to have a huge sustainability team? Or is it to have it integrated in the organization where they have the knowledge and understands, what they can do, or
yeah,
at least they have the foundation that makes them able to drive their own knowledge seeking. That it's not the few people, specialized people in the sustainability team that needs to serve everyone, but
yeah,
they can be, like HSEQ, I think is a fantastic example of that. The HSEQ departments aren't that big, but they're integrated into everything in the organization, especially in the energy industry.
yeah,
It's just how you operate, and HSEQ is also one of the key KPIs for all companies within the energy industry. So should sustainability be as well, just a pointer. But yeah, but it's, I think it's really important to start um, making sure that we're integrating and not just adding on in
mm,
terms of succeeding with sustainability. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. I think this has been a really interesting conversation. So many good points, good insight and experience, and I also love to see the real cases, see the real examples that are more tangible, that people can also understand, like, what, okay, a lot of people talk about this in theory, but what does it mean in praxis? And yeah, but I wanna end with one last question. So when you pivoted into um mm, to starting working with more with sustainability and
Mhm.
going back to school, did you have any specific, like, readings or books or anything that you would like to recommend?
Mhm. Yeah, well, I had to think about that because it depends on. I read a lot of books, of course, over the past few years, but one that really sparked my sort of understanding and trying to translate what my perspective is with new knowledge, and how we should view sustainability going forward is Per Espen Stoknes' Grønn vekst, Green Growth.
Yeah.
It really puts it into the challenges of what we're facing, but at the same time, talking about how you can integrate sustainability into your existing business.
Mm.
And for me, I think that really, yeah, I really learned a lot, but it also made me uh, implement it into me and how I can talk about and work around sustainability.
Yeah. Great. Thank you so much. And thank you, Kristin, for this very inspiring conversation. And thank you for joining the podcast.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It was great talking to you.
Well, thank you so much. We'll talk again soon and take care.
Yes.
Bye bye.
Bye.